And as was mentioned earlier in the show, the focus of this segment is to talk about the new service being offered by DigiCel, the 4G LTE. And joining us for this conversation, we're joined by Anwar Barrow, Chairman of the BTL Executive Committee. And we're joined by Zellie Tillet, who is the Chief Customer Service Officer. Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Marlene. Morning, William.
So it's official. You had your launch party last week to be able to make your announcement that DigiCel will now be offering 4G LTE. But it's not a service that's being rolled out as yet, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the partnerships that you've been able to secure to be able to get this as a part of your DigiCel product.
The launch or the announcement that we will be launching 4G LTE is big for us because it's really part of an overarching plan of BTL to move Belize into one of the more competitive technological countries in the region. So this is really one rung of a plan that we have to really take the company and take the country forward. So that's why it's been important for us. We partnered with Huawei. Right now we have in an Ericsson system. Huawei is a Chinese manufacturer. They are one of the leading companies in the world. And just like us, their ambitions are quite high, and so we thought it would be a wonderful partnership. So we're really looking on our end and on their end to do something special for the company and for the country.
What has the engagement been like in terms of deciding on which company to actually settle on to make this a 4G LTE move?
Well, the technology is a big part of it, but I think that the relationship to choose any major vendor, or the process to choose any major vendor, is really about the relationship that you think you will have from that vendor and the support you think you will get from the vendor. All of these vendors are billion-dollar companies. Huawei's revenue this year, I think, was $63 billion. Next year, they're hoping for above $70 billion worldwide. So these are huge companies. So it's really all about the relationship. And one of the key moving factors for us with them is that we have as our sponsor the president of Huawei USA. So that is a pretty big market for them and a pretty important person who has been directly involved in the project as a sponsor.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about the type of investment that this will take. What was the decision in terms of the company being able to make the necessary investments to be able to move to this point?
It's a $40 million investment over 5 years. It involves the replacement of our 97 current sites with LTE, and also the addition of 61 new sites. Mm-hmm. So a lot of areas which the service is not covering right now will be covered with the launch of this new service.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the rollout process look like? Because you're talking of a span of 5 years.
The rollout process is going to take place between this year and next year. We plan to launch at the end of the year, and we plan to bring on the additional 61 sites next year. The process is very complex. There are a lot of resources, a lot of people involved, and the new partnership not only represents from a technology standpoint a step forward, but also from the way BTL is looking to manage its relationships with vendors. And I say that because traditionally, in the past, the company would rely a lot on the vendor to fine-tune the network, to maintain the network to a particular extent. With this new relationship, we're taking on a lot of that responsibility ourselves, at least in the midterm, not in the short term. So it's going to be a total shift as far as the mentality and the expertise that we need to have in-house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, given the fact that the end game of all of this is obviously to improve your customer service, internally, let's talk about some of the efforts that you're doing there in terms of as you transition system to make sure that customers are aware of what to expect as you try to improve.
Well, one of the first things that we have looked at is what we currently have, and then we went on to decide on which systems we want to put in place. We have our IT team. We have who is looking at all the different softwares that we need to put in place to support the LTE and everything else that we're doing. We're revamping the entire customer service section, and those are some secrets that we don't want to reveal at this time. It will be big for BTL, but not just BTL, but for Belize as a whole, because our objective is to be first class, not just in Belize, but throughout the region as well. And like what we have mentioned is that our goal for 2020 is to be the number 3 or top 3 within the region. And so that has to come with the culture change of our people, which we're already working on. It goes with the change of our focus internally. It goes with making sure that our customers are able to contact us. So we are focusing on 2 major pillars, which of course is quality of service, excellence. And we've done a lot on that. We continue to do more. Communications, where we've opened up many channels to communicate. It's no longer just by calling our toll-free numbers. We have launched our DigiRep, which is our live chat, and there's so much more mediums. WhatsApp and Viber is being used internally. We are communicating via the internet, and so many other mediums that we're pushing. Customers can actually use their mobile device and get the DigiRep from 7 in the morning right through till 10 at night, rather than calling in to our hotlines. So those are just a few of the things that we're doing.
Now, Zellie, when Anwar talks about being able to upgrade some of your existing infrastructure, I think one of the first things that comes to mind for people is there'll be disruption of service. Realistically speaking, how smooth will this transition be, and what is your advice to customers at this point in time?
That's a very good question, and that is part and parcel of why we've decided to launch at the end of this year rather than earlier. Along with putting in additional infrastructure, it is important that we fine-tune every single detail so that when we launch, it is with almost minimal interruptions to our customers. And smoothing it out that way, it will be good for our customers, no?
Now, in the same vein, and perhaps Anwar, you can chime in here, because obviously the transition will not only be for your external customer, it will also be for your internal customer, which means that staff has to be on board, they have to be apprised of what's happening. What has that conversation been like, and what initiatives has the company undertaken, for example, to make sure that from the technical side right up, people are aware and they're on board to meet the new 4G LTE BTL?
Well, as I said, William, really the announcement of the coming of this service and what we're doing there is part of a larger plan. And a big part of that plan has been culture change. For the past 2 years, we have been working on preparing our team internally to transform and become more commercially competitive. That is really the focus of our entire culture change initiative, and it involves many different things. Everything from better communication. We have the C-level group, which are all the chiefs that are the executives, 6 of them, do tours every year. We have myself communicating a lot with the staff. There's a lot more engagement. We've identified certain traits that we want to have as a company and as a culture. So we put quite a bit of effort into identifying where we want to go from a cultural standpoint as a company. Because the feeling of the board is that the most important thing we can do is create the right culture for the company. BTL is the leading telecoms provider in Belize. It's the biggest telecoms company in Belize, and so it's bigger than BTL as far as the destiny of the company. I think that it's very closely aligned to the destiny of the country, and so that is what we try to inspire amongst the team as far as where we're going and what we want to do.
You speak a lot about changing the culture of the company. What is your vision? Is it, you speak about being world class and being able to get BTL to that point. What have you been doing internally in terms of ensuring that you are able to get there?
I think that, as Zellie mentioned earlier, right now, if you look at where Belize is as a country, in reference to download speeds, Belize now is number 25 out of 27 countries. The only countries behind us are Guyana and Cuba. So that doesn't speak well for us as far as a country and what we've done in terms of technology. And our goal is for, by the year 2020, 4 years from now, to be in the top 3. So it's very, very ambitious as far as wanting to go from number 25 to top 3. It's not easy. Obviously, if it was, everybody would be doing it. So that ties into what we have to do internally and what we've been doing as far as what I just said, communication, identifying the traits that we have, but also we've had to bring in a lot of expertise. At least we've started to bring in a lot of expertise, and we expect to bring in a lot more, because it's an entire paradigm shift as far as how we want the team to operate versus how they were operating before, taking more responsibility onto themselves, holding vendors to account better, and demanding a certain level of service. But in order to do that, you have to be well informed yourself, and you have to have the expertise in-house. So we've been working on that.
Speaking about rankings in the region, Belize also has been ranked notoriously as one of the most expensive places for internet access. Launching a new service, does that mean, and you speak about wanting to move up in the charts in terms of where we stand, what will be done in terms of that? How do you drive down the cost of being able to access mobile data and broadband, but also be able to ensure that your investment, $40 million, will be worthwhile?
I think that that's a very good question. We've done a lot to reduce costs over the past 5 years, really. And I think that the high cost of technology in Belize was born out of having a monopoly. And we really had a monopoly until the government took over BTL, because we had one owner who had majority shares in both that and the competitor. So when that monopoly was broken, which I think is a great thing, it really introduced competition into the market. And so we've had to take down rates just as a matter of competing with the different competitors in the market. But those rates have come down, and they will continue to come down. And we take them down by, one, being more efficient, by giving more people access. 2 years ago, it cost about $300 to get on the BTL network. The cheapest plan from BTL, or package from BTL, was around $259, plus you had to buy a SIM and you would get credit. Today, that is down to $59. So all of those things we've done to get more people onto the network, and in turn, take down the cost.
Now, as you push towards 4G LTE, and you're talking about the markers, and we're talking about increased access, decrease in pricing, you spoke a little bit about coverage as well.
Yes.
When you put all of these things together, you're also talking about eliminating certain services in terms of landlines, etc. Will we see the world move more away, or how do you strike a balance between the two, for example?
Sorry, you wanted to answer?
That's a good point. And the thing is that customers will not want to discontinue those services, so BTL don't intend to discontinue them either for a large, to a large extent. But based on the demand, which we are seeing is moving towards mostly data, then of course these are why we're moving along those lines as well, keeping up with the technology and making data available to customers. But landlines and the other services, they will be there.
I think that in particular in the last year and a half, we've done a lot to simplify our offering to customers. Specifically as far as home phone, we're coming out with a new set of offerings. Currently we have 6 different flavors of home phone plans. We're going to have 1 flavor now going forward. So a big part of our mandate, and this is actually in our strategic plan and everybody knows about it, has been to simplify the number of products and services that we have. We had 2 years ago about 800 different products and services. If you count, a 1 meg connection and a 512 as 2 different ones. Today we have around 600, so we've reduced that quite a bit, and we expect to reduce it even further.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, it's been a tight competition in the telecom industry, and the argument, I suppose, that you will hear by the time you launch your 4G service, 4G LTE that is that your competitor got there first. What do you say to that?
I think that there's no doubt that they have launched 4G LTE, but I think that there are some limitations in the type of launch that they have had versus the type of launch that we will have. We're launching, first of all, a nationwide 4G LTE network. We're launching a network that will see the availability of multiple type of handsets. And I think that that will be key differentiators between our service and our competitor's service. We welcome competition. We like the competition. I like the competition. I think it's great. I think it's great that they have done that. I want us to continue doing more of that as a group, as an industry. I think it's great for the population, and we welcome it. BTL is a big, strong provider with a great team in-house, and we will continue to drive and push forward. Competition can only help us.
So what can people expect between now and December when your official launch takes place?
Well, we have many promotions that we run every month, so people have been buying into those promotions. We've seen over the last 15 months the amount of data traffic on our network grow 12 times, 12-fold. So that's to say how much take-up there has been. And that has all been because we've marketed our product better, we've priced it better. 2 years ago, we were at $8 for 1 day plan. Today, we're at $2. And so we've done a bunch of things to kind of spur the market on, and people have been very receptive to it, and the customer base has just continued to grow.
Okay.
All right. So immediate future, immediate plans?
Zellie?
Well, our immediate plans is that we will be opening up a new showroom, and to be revealed pretty soon. And it will be like nothing Belize have seen before. And our expectations is that we will have a crowded showroom where customers will be able to interact with the services that we provide for them. That is as much as we could say for now. In-office services will be vastly improved as well, because we intend to have self-care services for our customers, and we will enhance our site so that customers can interact from that end as well, being that we're moving further along the line with data. In terms of our customer services locations, we're looking at the feasibility of having more interactions with the agents and have full service agents as well. There's a lot that we're doing, and it is premature for us to reveal them at this time. And so that is about it for now. But there's a lot that will come along the lines when we do our massive launch.
Okay. All right. And of course, people can continue to follow DigiCel on Facebook and the like.
Absolutely.
And we have your rep
And
stop
our
in periodically to tell us what's happening.
And remember, we have our DigiRep, which is available to our customers 7 until 10.
Okay.
And they could hit us up using 608-888 so that they could interact with us from their mobile device.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, it will be to speak with representatives from UB's Belize student government. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.